Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play the entirety of this video without any interruptions, and then I'll go back and talk about things that are going on, a bit explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that were done right and or done wrong. So without further ado, here we go.
Hello, I'm Officer Washington with the St. Louis County Police Department's Public Information Office. This critical incident briefing is intended to provide you with information about an officer-involved shooting that occurred on January 26, 2022 at the intersection of West Florissant Avenue and Lang Drive in the city of Ferguson, Missouri. As part of our commitment to transparency, we will show you relevant video footage, evidence, and the law enforcement response to this incident. Because this investigation is still active, our goal is to provide you with a better understanding of what occurred based on what we know up to this point. The St. Louis County Police Department conducts thorough use of force investigations, which typically require detectives to interview multiple witnesses, view numerous hours of video footage, and analyze a significant amount of forensic evidence. This portrayal is not intended to draw any conclusions about whether the officers involved acted consistent with their department's policies and the law until all the facts are known and the investigation is complete. Investigations involving uses of force could take several months to complete. A word of caution. The images you're about to see may be disturbing and you may hear strong or coarse language. When a police officer uses force to arrest a suspect or to defend themselves or innocent victims against an attack, it can be graphic and difficult to watch. Viewer discretion is strongly advised.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Stephen Sack, Commanding Officer of the Division of Criminal Investigation. On Wednesday, January 26, 2022, the St. Louis County Police Department Crimes Against Persons Unit was asked to conduct an investigation into an officer-involved shooting that occurred in the city of Ferguson, leaving 2 St. Louis Metropolitan Police officers injured and 1 suspect deceased. At approximately 12:52 p.m., the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department received a 911 call from a citizen reporting 4 suspicious subjects wearing ski masks sitting in a white Toyota 4Runner in the 800 block of River Trail Court in the city of St. Louis. A short time later, 3 St. Louis Metropolitan Police officers arrived on scene in 2 separate, fully marked police vehicles. As the officers pulled into the apartment complex, they observed the reported suspicious vehicle. Officers immediately recognized that the vehicle was wanted in connection with a homicide that occurred overnight in the city of St. Louis. At approximately 1:13 p.m., the white 4Runner fled from the officers traveling northbound on Riverview Boulevard. Responding officers activated their emergency equipment in an attempt to pull over the speeding vehicle. The driver did not comply, and a pursuit began. From northbound Riverview, the vehicle fled west onto Jennings Station Road at a high rate of speed, while officers continued to pursue. The suspect vehicle continued traveling westbound on Jennings Station Road, crossing into oncoming traffic lanes, ignoring numerous traffic signals, and endangering other drivers. At one point, near the intersection of West Florissant and Lucas and Hunt Road, the suspect vehicle left the roadway out of the view of officers. The vehicle re-entered the roadway with at least 1 flat tire, but continued to flee. At approximately 1:18 p.m., with 4 flat tires, the driver lost control of the vehicle and came to a stop at the intersection of West Florissant Avenue and Lang Drive in the city of Ferguson. 4 individuals got out of the vehicle and ran. At least 1 subject picked up a handgun as he ran from the vehicle. All 3 St. Louis Metropolitan Police officers exited their vehicles and gave chase. They were subsequently fired upon by 1 suspect. The officers returned fire. 2 of those officers were injured by shots fired from the suspect. The officer who returned fire struck the suspect multiple times. An officer in need of aid call was broadcast, and law enforcement personnel from several agencies responded to the scene. Arriving officers and first responders rendered first aid to the injured officers and suspect. The officers and suspect were transported to area hospitals for life-saving treatment. You are about to see relevant dash camera video and hear police radio traffic of the St. Louis Metropolitan officers' response to the incident just described. The body-worn cameras assigned to the responding St. Louis Metropolitan Police officers We're not recording.
As for 12, you can disregard. 26, respond for a suspicious occupants of an auto. 874 River Trail Court, 874 River Trail Court, cross streets of Riverview Drive and River Trail Drive. It's a nuisance pavement property. Caller states there are 4 men in a white 4-door truck with ski masks on. There's no plates on the truck. Doesn't say what they're doing that's suspicious. But the caller would like for you to check them out at 12:58.
66. 65, can you take me out with 626?
65, this girl take you out with 26 at 1308.
26 priority, we're in pursuit of a homicide vehicle, John Edward 7, Union 3 Henry. We're going to be northbound Riverview from Hall.
67 northbound Riverview from Hall Street, 1314. 67.
This is 626, ma'am. We are going to be taking the left onto, let's see, we're passing Fontaine Place on Chain of Rocks Road.
Passing Fontaine Place on Chain of Rocks Road, John 7 Edward Henry 47.
Correction on the plate, John Edward 7, Union 3 Henry, occupied one time as a white Toyota 4Runner.
And all cars is a white Toyota 4Runner, John Edward 3 Union 3 Henry, 66 in pursuit, 1314.
We are Jennings Station Road passing Wentworth. We are westbound.
Westbound Jennings Station Road passing Wentworth, 1315.
612, can you verify the plate?
John Edward 3 Union 3 Henry, 66, that's the correct plate.
John Edward 7 Union 3 Henry. There was involved in a homicide last night at Natural Bridge. Homicide just stood on a contact advised on it, or wanted for the murder.
John Edward 7 Union 3 Henry wanted for murder first. That's going to be a white Toyota 4Runner. What's the location?
Clear, we're still westbound. We're going to be on Jennings Station Road passing Fairhaven.
Jennings Station Road passing Fairhaven, 1315.
Passing McLaren.
Passing McLaren, white Toyota 4Runner, 1316.
And check on your...
Northbound on West Florissant.
On all cars on West Florissant, the white Toyota 4Runner, John Edward 7 Union 3 Henry, 1316.
Passing Strathmore.
Passing which street? 627, 66.
626, passing McLaren on West Florissant.
All cars passing McLaren on West Florissant, white Toyota 4Runner, 1316.
Support. Let's check with air support, see if we got air support up.
Air support, what about it? We're checking.
That's clear. All right, it just went off the road. Possibly going to crash here. No, he's back on the road. He's back on the road. Left front tire is down. We're passing Solway, still on West Florissant. It's actually going to pass by four times.
The left front tire's down, 1317.
Passing Ferguson.
And all cars passing Ferguson and white Toyota 4Runner, 1317.
All four tires are down. All four tires are down. You get ready. He's going to wreck out. We're going to be at Northwoods Estates.
Northwoods Estates, all four tires are down, 1317.
They're going to bail here at Northwoods Estates. I got the driver.
66, you have the driver. And all cars, 66 has a driver at 1318. Go ahead. Which car is setting off the emergency button?
God!
What's going on?
Shots fired!
Shots fired, Northwoods Estates, 1318. Officer needed aid, 1318.
Dispatch, we need an address.
626.
Cars there, secure our cars!
Section. All cars, officer needed aid, Northwood Estates, 1319. 326, 66.
Fulton County, where are you at?
66, what's the address?
528, we're behind the county officer now. We'll give an address as soon as possible.
528, that's good, thank you.
We have county en route, also EMS en route. Of all officers okay?
Negative. We need an ambulance and 2 officers.
That's good. We have EMS en route. We're going to start a second one. 601, 1600.
Is there anyone around it? Turn if they don't turn one. This one.
there's no one. There's someone there. That's it. Flip around.
Clear, cameras are both going to suffer from income.
Right here. Stop. 626 priority. We're pursuit of a homicide vehicle. Garage number 7, Union 3 Henry. We're going to be northbound Riverview from Paul. Northbound on West Florissant. They're going to bail here in Northwest Estate. I got the driver.
One St. Louis Metropolitan Police officer suffered multiple gunshot wounds and was hospitalized in critical condition for several days following the shooting. The second officer sustained a single gunshot wound. He was treated and later released. The third officer was not injured. Despite the work of first responders and medical staff, the suspect, now identified as Equan Hopson, age 23 of the 5900 block of Lucille Avenue in St. Louis, later died of his injuries at an area hospital. Aside from Mr. Hopson, 2 additional suspects were taken into custody by responding officers after a foot pursuit. August Burns, age 23, of the 1800 block of Notting Hill Row in Florissant, was charged by the St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney's Office with unlawful possession of a firearm and resisting arrest. Clyde Thomas, age 35, of the 5500 block of Highway 32 in Farmington, Missouri, was charged with resisting arrest. On March 11, 2022, the fourth suspect, Johnny Lewis, age 23, of the 800 block of Canaan Avenue in St. Louis, was arrested by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department in Las Vegas, Nevada. Lewis was charged by the St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney with resisting arrest by fleeing, creating a substantial risk of serious injury or death. Charges are merely an accusation, and defendants are presumed innocent until and unless proven guilty in a court of law. In total, the pursuit lasted 4 minutes and 16 seconds. A 9mm Glock 43X pistol attributed to Mr. Hopson was located near him on scene. A 12-gauge shotgun was recovered near the suspect vehicle, along with an ammunition carrier worn by Mr. Burns when he was arrested. Mr. Burns admitted to possessing the shotgun while inside the vehicle. Mr. Hopson fired the pistol until it was empty. 3 recovered shell casings were forensically matched to the pistol attributed to Mr. Hopson. In total, 34 shots were fired by law enforcement. The St. Louis Metropolitan Police officers involved in this incident are 28 years of age with 2.5 years law enforcement experience, 25 years of age with 3.5 years law enforcement experience, and 27 years of age with 1.5 years law enforcement experience.
The St. Louis County Police Department has all of its non-sensitive policies and procedures available on our website, www.stlouiscountypolice.com. The policies applicable to this incident and release of information are General Order 16-68, Public Information and News Media Policy. The St. Louis County Police Department will continue to investigate and analyze this incident for as long as it might take. Detectives will continue to interview any new witnesses that may come forward and document and analyze new evidence that is discovered. After the investigation is complete, the findings will be forwarded to the St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney's Office for an independent review. Thank you for taking time to view this critical incident briefing.
All right, let's get into it. So, let me find where the footage starts. All right, so the police go to this suspicious person call where there's some dudes sitting in an SUV with ski masks on. Now, the ski mask part is a little odd. If they had just been wearing COVID masks, they probably wouldn't have aroused any suspicion because that's normal. In fact, it is normal to see a person all by themselves, no one else in the car, and still wear a COVID mask. The ski masks is, well, that's what made it suspicious. Because I don't know too many people, or I don't know if there are too many people who wear ski masks as COVID masks. And the odds of multiple people in a vehicle wearing ski masks as COVID masks seems a little unlikely. I don't know what it is about ski masks and the hood crowd. I can only imagine that they like them because of image. Like they've seen it in a movie, they've seen it, they're, rap videos and stuff. They just think it's something cool to wear. There's a channel called, I want to say it's called Charlie Boy something. There might be a number that comes after it, but it's on YouTube. And it's this dude, and all he does is he drives to like the ghettos all across the U.S. So he's drove through the hoods in Chicago and Detroit and Miami and Atlanta, Louisville, a lot of different places. And he had one, actually it's been more than one, where he just drives around, and then sometimes he gets out and he talks to people. And it's just people hanging out, and they're wearing a ski mask. So it's more than just putting it on before doing something bad. It's also a bit of a fashion kind of thing with this crowd, if you can even call it fashion. There's certain clothing ensembles that they latch onto and they just mimic. I don't get it. Like the little merce thing, or the fanny pack being worn across the front diagonally. Like I don't get that. I don't get that one at all. Like, why not just wear the fanny pack as normal? But you'll see all across the nation, different ones wearing that. So it's like a fashion thing with, the hip hop crowd. And the ski masks are too. So the ski mask, like I said, it's not always an indicator that they're about to be doing something. To normal people, it is. If I see somebody with a ski mask, even though I do know that the ski mask bullshit is kind of a fashion fad with some of them, I see somebody with a ski mask, I'm going to think something's up. Now, this apartment complex, when I first saw this video and looking at the design of the place, it reminded me of a shithole apartment complex in my area. And I thought, wow, all shithole apartment complexes must look the same. Alright, so the vehicle's on the other side of this truck right here. He initially goes to pull in, but his partner tells him to keep on going. At this point, it's possible these suspects have seen the police car pulling in. It's for sure when they drive by that we know they've seen them because they take off. I don't know what the passenger officer was thinking. Maybe he thought, hey, we don't have anybody here yet. Let's not get right on top of them. Let's just drive by and act like, we're not here for something. We're not here watching them. And they won't think anything's up and they'll just continue to do what they're doing. Maybe that was his mindset. Maybe it was, well, we don't have enough people here yet. No sense in making contact with them. The shit pops off. There's not enough of us. Or something else. I don't know. They could have just pulled straight in and came to a stop and got out. Now, what would have happened at that point? Well, that's when we start to enter what-if land. And there's a lot of variables within what-if land. One thing that could have happened is they pulled in here and maybe came to a stop, they probably would have took off. And it would have still led into a pursuit. It could have started a gunfight right here. And some more what-ifs about a gunfight. If it had started this gunfight with that one guy who had a pistol, then it's possible the dude who had the shotgun in the back could have introduced that shotgun into the gunfight. That could have been devastating. Or the guy with the shotgun may have gave up and had no fight in him. Don't know. Like I said, what if land is just full of so many variables that it's so hard to come up with an idea of what could have happened, because even when you say A could have happened, there's all these subsets to A, like A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, and then what if B happens? And there's so many subsets of that, B1, B2, B3, B4, B5. It's like the butterfly effect, One little thing can change a whole chain of events and create something different. So there's no way to say, you know, what could have actually happened if they decided to pull in over here. There's a couple main ideas about what could have happened, but there's obviously no way of knowing. Now, the suspects, when they see these officers drive by, they take off, but they go around the apartment complex. And part of me wonders that if they would have just exited here after seeing the cop car drive by, if that would have allowed them to get a greater lead time on these officers and get further away.
31 around it. Drug bed if they say don't send one. There's no one. There's someone else. That's it. Flip around.
All right, about 15 seconds is what I counted from passing and then turning around. Now, basically another total of 26 seconds here. Could they have just pulled out where that officer initially could have pulled in at and gotten off further down here? I think it's plausible. Yeah, I think it's plausible. Could this officer had pulled into here? Because this is a small exit. I mean, there's not that much room there. Could he have pulled into here and blocked it? Yeah, he could have. But that could have also put his passenger at great risk. The suspect vehicle could have decided to ram the police car, and that would have sucked for the passenger. Or the gunfight could have happened right here, and that still would have sucked for the passenger officer because he would be right there at it.
Priority, where homicide vehicle, John Edward 7, Union 3 Henry. We're going to be...
So the pursuit is, I mean, it's a pursuit. If you've watched other pursuits, then it's really no different. You just see a bunch of turns and curves and hear siren the whole time and hear the engines revving. Nothing spectacular. Sometimes they're anticlimactic. I mean, they're not like the Hollywood police chase scenes where there's explosions and wrecks and, you know, multiple explosions and wrecks and all kinds of wild shit going on. It's just kind of boring. Now, at some point, they go off the road past this corner. And are up here in the grass. I don't know how they did that. I don't know if they had swerved to miss something and went up over the curb and started going up this way. If they were going to try to turn into here, but were going way too fast and lost control and went up this way. I have no idea how they ended up over here. But luckily, it ended up screwing their tires up. If their tires had not been screwed up from that, this would have lasted a lot longer. Assuming that their supervisors would have allowed them to keep on. There's a possibility that a supervisor could have said, terminate pursuit for public safety reasons. And then these guys could have potentially gotten away. Now, he goes to make a turn and then loses control over the vehicle. The front passenger bails quickly. So I'll give credit where credit's due. This dude's fast. He is opening the door as the vehicle is spinning out of control. And I don't know if it's so much as him bailing out of the vehicle as it comes to more of a stop, or if it's slinging him out of the vehicle as it's kind of coming to a stop. But it's instantaneous.
They're going to bail here north.
So at this point, I'm confident that he is opening the door. Because there, you can see the door frame open. And if you go backwards a couple of frames, you actually see the door frame open right here in the through the window. So that door frame's, or that door is open right now. You can see the frame of it. And of course, when it comes to a stop, you'll see the gun slide across the sidewalk here.
I got the driver.
See it right there in the shadow. And then hits the ground. This dude's, boom, he's out. Now the driver, let's back it up some.
They're going to bail here north Memphis State. I got the driver.
I mean, it does its last little bounce, and the driver he's out. And he's wearing his pants below his ass. I've never understood the whole wearing your pants below your ass thing. Yeah, it's a fashion thing. I don't know if you could really call it fashion. But it intrigues me in a way, because the people who do this shit are, the criminals who do this shit are living a lifestyle where they know that they may at some point in their life get chased by the police. And this is probably not the first time they've ran from the police or ran from anyone. When you wear loose pants and they are falling below your ass, that impacts your ability to run. It slows you down some, and you have to reach down and hold your pants, which is what he's doing. He's having to reach down and hold his pants as he's running, because if not, they're going to fall around his ankles. When they fall around his ankles, he's going to trip and fall. So I've never understood why the little ghetto criminals wear their pants like this. You would think that by now they would have figured out that it impacts your ability to run and run effectively. But they still do it, which I'm not complaining, because it does make them easier to catch. But it's something I've wondered for a while now. Like, why do they do this, knowing it's going to impact their ability to successfully flee and evade? Now, keep in mind, this dude's got a pretty good head start. He was out before any of them. And this officer, like, holy shit, track runners right here. Notice how they're able to more effectively run, because they got their pants up and they're wearing belts. You're able to get better full strides that way. Remember, they're having to react to others' actions. And this dude got out of the car first, and they've practically almost got up on his ass when he was able to get out first and cover this distance before you ever saw them come into field of view. And now they're almost closing the distance on him. And they closed the distance on him so well that he ended up shooting at him because he knew he was about to get caught. The passengers, we'll back it up. All right, so the passengers in the back have not got out yet. So here's the front passenger, here's the driver. And again, you know, officer already in field of view and closing that gap. The guys in the back, they didn't initially run. Why is that? I don't know. One or two reasons. One, they became very disoriented when the vehicle spun out of control. Maybe they had gotten thrown sideways, and maybe one was laying on the other, or something, something like that. They just threw them off guard, and they haven't come back to their senses yet to get uprighted again and be able to jump out. Or secondly, they could have at this moment said, "Uh-oh, it's up, we're caught." And then as they saw all the officers involved run this away, they said, "Oh, here's our opportunity, let's run now." And then decided to run. That dude is fast. I mean, shit, he's fast. So, of course, they dropped the shotgun out on the ground here, and it's a good thing that they didn't decide to start shooting with this thing. And although I don't know what was in it, could have just been birdshot. Birdshot can still be deadly against people, but it would have sucked to be fighting someone with a shotgun. Luckily, they dropped it and skedaddled. Now you will see what looks like a Dodge Charger pull in here right into the right of the frame really quick. Maybe it was before they bailed. Oh, yeah. So there's a Dodge Charger right there. So is it an officer? I don't know. I suspect that it could be. I mean, why else would you have a Dodge Charger kind of pulling in here kind of quick? So no idea, what went on with that guy, what he did, if he tried to chase those other guys down. No idea. I wish there would have been some more information about that. I forget the reason why they said they didn't have body cameras or why there was no body camera footage. But unfortunately, there's no body camera footage available for this incident. We do have overhead drawings showing their flight path, which is nice.
Got out of the vehicle and ran. All three St. Louis Metropolitan Police officers exited their vehicles and gave chase. They were subsequently fired upon by one suspect.
So it doesn't clearly show where the shooting started at. I would suspect that it was somewhere between here and here. But where exactly, I don't know. And the reason why I think it more likely occurred right about in here,
the officers,
is because this officer comes this way. Unless this guy keep going. So it had to have, like I said, it had to have been from here to here, but I think it was more closer to here. Or maybe, right in there, it could have been where it was going on at. Again, I wish they would have provided more detail, but it had to have happened before this officer went this way, because he cut in between these two houses. And I suspect the reason why he did that is he heard gunfire and came to assist.
Returned fire.
So since there's no body cam footage, obviously it can't, speak to any tactics or anything like that. But we can talk about medical. So there were 2 officers injured. One was critical. And although they're not a very far distance from their vehicles, they're still a little ways from their cars. When it comes to medical gear, you have to have that medical gear on you. If you have the mindset that, oh, I have a tourniquet in my car, if I need it, I'll get it, that is a wrong mindset to have. You need to get rid of that. if you had someone tell you, oh, you don't have to carry your gun all the time, just keep it in your car. If you need it, you can just go to your car and get it. You would laugh in their face and tell them they're fucking stupid. They're both life-saving tools. So if you say, well, if I need the tourniquet, I can get out of my car, you need to laugh at yourself. You need to look in the mirror, laugh at yourself, and tell yourself you're fucking stupid. Because you are. But it's okay. You can redeem yourself. You can start carrying medical gear on you. Did these officers have medical gear on them? I have no idea. We don't get to see any body cam footage. If they had to get medical gear, then either A, other responding units who got here had to bring it out of their vehicles and bring it to them, or B, if they didn't have anything, they had to wait for the ambulance. I hope it wasn't that. For the idea of keeping it in your vehicle, what if your vehicle is stolen? That happens. Police cars get stolen more than what you think. What if your vehicle is set on fire? What if you're pinned down by gunfire and you cannot get to your car? What if your car is a good distance away from you and you can't conceivably get to it within a good amount of time? What if it's not even that far away? What if it's a short distance away? Like this. Like this isn't a very far distance away. I wouldn't even say this is a full block away. It's a couple yards away. What if you've taken a round through your leg and it's shattered your femur and you can't walk? How are you going to get to your car? It's within eyesight, but you cannot physically walk and get to it. How are you going to get that medical gear? You going to crawl that whole way? Could. Is it going to be effective? No. It's why you have to carry that medical gear on you. Now, can you carry the whole trauma bag on you? No, you can't. And that's not what I'm advocating. I'm advocating that you carry the essential medical stuff, like a tourniquet. If you're going to carry one thing and one thing only, I would recommend carrying a tourniquet. When you look at tactical combat casualty care, which really started, late 90s, early 2000s, and it really took off after the start of the Afghanistan and Iraq wars. When you look at that, the leading cause of death for battlefield injuries is massive bleeding. Now, what's a battlefield? Well, a battlefield has gunfire in it. That's for sure. But it also has other stuff in it. Other things that add to the data set that push the tactics and the protocol. Landmines, IEDs, missiles, rockets, that kind of stuff. Do we see that in domestic law enforcement? Not really. There's improvised explosives. But we're not seeing the Crips or the Bloods drive around with Mark 19s on top of their cars. We're not seeing the gangster disciples whipping out RPGs. We're not seeing MS-13 plant roadside bombs. So, although that stuff is absent pretty much within domestic law enforcement, at least now, it doesn't mean that the gunfire stuff doesn't matter. because the gunfire stuff is included in the tactical combat casualty care protocols. Criminals are getting their hands on more than just regular standard pistols, I guess you could say. So, from, 70s and until now, or actually a little bit up before until now, the standard threat was 9mm, 40, 45, 357, 44 Magnum, and 3A vests were and still are the norm. But now we see AR pistols and AK pistols as popular guns within the hip-hop crowd. Although those are designated as pistols, they fire rifle cartridges. And some of them actually get carbines and rifles. But we still know it's the same cartridge. 3A armor is not stopping that shit. So there's the potential for more injuries because the vest just won't stop them. At least not soft armor. So gunfire, gun-related injuries causing massive bleeding are still going to be a thing for domestic law enforcement. And so a tourniquet still, I think, makes sense as being an appropriate item to carry if it's the only item you're going to carry. The next best thing would be a pressure bandage. And then next would be compressed gauze. Those three things should be good to stop most bleeding. Now you can start adding on to that, but you're going to be taking up room. And when I talk about carrying your first line medical gear on you, you're limited on some space, especially if you wear a standard uniform. There are medical ankle holsters that can carry quite a bit. You can get a tourniquet, you can get pressure bandage, compressed gauze, chest seals, nasopharyngeal airway, decompression needle, even scissors. You can get all that stuff, plus a couple more things to fit in a medical ankle holster. And it doesn't really take up a whole lot of room because it wraps all the way around your ankle. If you wear an ankle gun as a backup gun, then you can very well just as easily carry a medical ankle holster on the opposite ankle. And that's what I do. I wear a medical ankle holster every day, and in it I have a CPR face shield mask, and then I have a VOC, ventilated operator kit, which carries a tourniquet, compressed gauze, a small roll of duct tape, nasopharyngeal airway, decompression needle, gloves, and then I also carry an additional set of gloves in my ankle holster, my medical ankle holster. And it doesn't take any room. I can wear it and it doesn't print through my pants. I don't even really know that I have it on until I press my ankle up against something and I can feel the mass of it. So a medical ankle holster is a great option for standard uniform stuff. If your uniform consists of a cargo pocket, you can throw a kit in there. If your uniform consists of an outer carrier, and whether you've got fixed pouches on it or you got the webbing on there to put whatever pouches you want on there, you can obviously carry a little bit more. If you've got the webbing on there that you can put whatever pouch you want on there, you can for sure carry a hellacious blowout kit or improved first aid kit, individual first aid kit, whatever moniker you want to assign to it. You can carry a lot of medical stuff on you that route. But there are a lot of people who carry just a tourniquet on their belt, and I have no problem with that. At least they're carrying something. They can carry a little bit more if they put some effort into it, but I'll settle with that tourniquet because at least they got something. Now, will a tourniquet solve everything? No. Is a tourniquet needed for every gunshot wound in your extremity? No. I've seen lots of videos where I did not see any indications that would require the use of a tourniquet. Tourniquets are for arterial bleeding, massive bleeding, like lots and lots of blood coming out of your body, not just a little bit. So that kind of tells me there's maybe a training issue there where they understand the concept of the tourniquet, that it stops bleeding, but they don't understand the concept of what kind of bleeding it's meant to stop. So your first line gear could be the minimal stuff to use for you, your partners, and your family if you're an armed citizen. That stuff should only be reserved for you, your partner, and your family. You shouldn't use that on anyone else. The only time I would ever use that on anyone else is if it's a kid. Like, hands, even if there's more fighting to be had, I would probably most likely use it on a kid that needs it. Aside from that, if it's anyone else other than a partner or family member, they can wait. They can wait until the scene is 110% safe. And by 110% safe, that means no less than a whole platoon of officers on scene, which pretty much means the whole damn shift is going to be there. That's the only way I would ever consider the scene safe enough to start using my life-saving equipment on anyone else other than myself or a partner or loved one. Especially, if it's the bad guy. Like, if the bad guy brought this upon himself, then he brought this upon himself. He can sit there and bleed until more people get there to secure that scene, and then until an ambulance gets there. Because I'm not going to put my tourniquet on him and then run the risk of his homeboy coming around the corner and seeing that I shot his buddy and then he wants to shoot me. And then if I get injured, what am I going to do? Am I going to take that tourniquet off that dude and put it on me? Am I going to take that pressure bandage off the dude that's got his blood soaked all on it and try and put it on me? No, that's not a viable option. If there's possibility of more fighting to be had, don't use your medical stuff on anyone else, unless it's you, your partner, or loved one. Like I said, if it's a bad guy, you've had to shoot him. We all know that bad guys don't work alone. He could have a family member or a friend who was with him doing their criminal shit, and you just didn't see him. And after you put a tourniquet on them, one of them could come up, see that you shot them, and want to get revenge on you. And if they injure you and you're unable to treat yourself or unable to treat your partner, that sucks. So first line gear is for you, your partners, and your loved ones. Everyone else can wait, especially the bad guys. Your second line gear is the stuff that you keep in the vehicle to supplement what you've had on you that you've already used. Or it can be a standalone kit to be able to use on everyone else, just as the bad guy. So if it takes someone some time to run from the yard to over here and grab it and come back, oh well. I guess he should have thought twice about shooting at people. I have no sympathy for him. They can wait. And in this type of scenario too, so the medical gear, that's another thing. 2 officers injured, 1 critical. How much medical gear you got? That becomes triage at that point. As far as I'm concerned, all medical equipment that's on scene goes to these 2 officers first. They are priority number 1. They get the equipment first. They get the treatment first. Old dude over here can wait. He can wait in line, just like you wait in line at the emergency room. Again, he brought it upon himself. If he didn't want to bleed to death, then don't fucking shoot the police. So they don't mention their charges any, and I wish they would have. Or not their current charges, I mean, but like their previous charges, like what their criminal history and background is. Because I think that's important for the public to know. That way, the public has a better understanding of who all the players involved are. Of course, the woke liberal left hate that shit. They don't like it when the police tell everyone what the people's background is. But you can tell by looking at them, this is not their first rodeo. They've been involved in the system multiple times. It's not like one day that they decided, hey, I'm gonna go do some hood shit. I ain't never done it before, but I guess today's the day. No, that don't happen. You don't just start gangbanging, as if you decided one day you're gonna go apply for a certain job. Like it just don't work like that. Like they grow into it. They've been doing this shit since they were kids. They've been on the streets. So this dude is the dude who wanted to shoot it out with the police. This is obviously a booking photo. That's not his booking photo. But it's a previous booking photo. And the mask on the chin. Like, I'll look at booking photos, and that annoys me. The booking officers need to be making people take these masks all the way off. All the way off. So you can see the full face. That's the point of a mug shot. So you know what the person's face looks like. You can't see what it fully looks like when he's got this freaking mask on. I've actually seen booking photos where people were wearing the full fucking mask. How that made it past a supervisor and they said that was okay, I have no idea. But then again, you're dealing with jails, and within a lot of jails, there's a bunch of stupid people who work in them. Not all of them, all right, not all of them, but there's a few, and by a few I mean there's a lot, and yeah, I'll end it there, else it'll go into a long rant. So obvious booking photo. Obvious booking photo. You can tell by the shirt here. I mean, this is prison garb right here. This is like a scrub, sort of like you'd see a nurse or a doctor wear. It's just a basic shirt. It's cheap to buy from a place like Bob Barker. Bob Barker is a correctional supply distributor, so you can buy all kinds of crap from him, buy clothing, and this is the typical stuff that you can get from him. It's just scrubs, and you can also tell just by his looks. I mean, he's a criminal. You can tell. The biggest giveaways are the face tat and the neck tat. Typically, people who get those aren't the types who make really good decisions, and they're typically the type who are involved in crimes. Now, does that mean that's everyone? No, that does not mean that it's everyone. There's some other clues that have clued me into this. Number one being the jail/prison clothes right here. Plus, the whole case and everything involved and knowing what's going on. Yeah, it's a given. This dude's a criminal. But, going back to the face tats, typically in my experience, everyone I've pretty much dealt with who has face and neck tats has been a criminal of some sort. And if they have not been deep into crime, then they've just been someone who hasn't made a whole lot of good decisions in their life. Now, there are some who have those who are decent people and they don't cause any issues, but they're also not the type to be running a Fortune 500 company. And that's one of the reasons why you don't see people who run Fortune 500 companies with face and neck tattoos, because they're not the types who make bad decisions in life. If they were, they wouldn't be in their position of being the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. That's why you don't see people like Bill Gates or Donald Trump or Mark Zuckerberg or the Jack dude from Twitter. All these, CEO of Walmart and Target and all these places, all these big money things. That's why you don't see these people with face and neck tattoos, because they are making good decisions, and people who make good decisions in life don't get fucking neck and face tattoos. Now, I know someone's going to be like, well, there's millionaires with face and neck tattoos. Okay, all right. Compare the number of them to the number of people like Walmart CEOs and Target CEOs and all that. Like that group, right there. Compare the two. You're not going to find a whole lot of millionaires with face and neck tattoos outnumbering the Fortune 500 company owners and all that. Like, it's just not going to happen. This dude. So, again, prison clothes right here. So, everyone in this is like 20-something years old, except for this guy. This dude's like 35 years old. My question is, what the hell is a dude who's almost 40 fucking years old doing hanging out with dudes who are in their early 20s? Like, does this dude not have a life? Like, why is he not hanging out with people his own age? Why is he hanging out with so much young people? The pistola used by old dude, and you can see some clothing stuff here from the shooting. So obviously that's a pair of jeans, and this looks like maybe a sweatshirt or something like that. This might be a tourniquet, possibly. I'm not really sure. So I'm going to go back real quick and look at the suspects running on foot. Because the first guy who got out, he had on like these little gray looking pants, I thought. I mean, those could be jeans. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like the pistola dude could have been the passenger who bailed out pretty quickly, because that looks like jeans cut up on the ground. It looks like he's wearing jeans, and the other guy has too dark of pants on. So old passenger dude was the one to get it. Oh, go back to this.
To Mr. Hopson was located.
So the pistols and the guns, the pistol and the shotgun, where did they come from? I don't know. I wish that this was also information that they would provide a little bit more detail on. A lot of times, guns used in street crimes are stolen guns, because people who have criminal backgrounds, especially felony backgrounds, aren't able to go to a gun store and buy a gun. So where do they get guns if they can't go legally buy one? Well, one option is to have a friend or family member who doesn't have a felony conviction go buy it from a gun store and then give it to them. That's illegal. Not supposed to do that, but it happens. The other possibility is what the anti-gun crowd says is loopholes, is they could have bought it in a private sale from someone, and conceivably they could have bought it from a person who didn't know that they were a felon, and so it to them it was a lawful purchase, but him knowing he's not supposed to have it, he knows he's not supposed to, so it's illegal on his part. Those are possibilities, but they're not the highest likely possibilities. The highest likely possibility is it's stolen, and either he stole it himself or he bought it from someone who stole it. A lot of guns used in these street crimes are stolen guns. How are they stealing these guns? Are they stealing them from people who are wearing them? No. It's pretty hard to steal a gun off a person when they're wearing it. Not saying it hasn't happened. It has. Mainly with people who like to do the open carry stuff. But overall, if you're carrying concealed, it's pretty hard for someone to steal that gun off of you, especially if they can't see it. And then secondly, if they do see it, it should still be pretty hard to steal from you because you can shoot them in the face because of it. So they're taking them when people are not wearing them. So the best way to protect your handgun is to wear the damn thing. Keep it with you. So they're taking them from people when they're not even near them. And they're doing this by breaking in the cars and breaking in the homes when people are not around. For the people who leave their guns in their cars, a lot of these guns end up being stolen out of the middle console of a vehicle when the middle console doesn't even lock. Why are people putting them in the middle console? Because it's closer to them. It's easier. It's easier to open that console and put the pistol in it and open it and grab it versus leaning all the way over to the glove box. But these things don't have locks on them. And so if a person forgets to lock their car doors, well, then that makes it even easier. Because when these little hoodlums are out and about car hopping, and that's what they call it car hopping, they just go around and jiggle door handles, and whichever one's open is the one they get to steal shit from. And they'll go car to car to car in a neighborhood, in a parking lot, and they'll just try doors, and whichever one's open, they go for it. And you'd be surprised about how many people leave their gun in their car and forget to lock their freaking doors. Happens way more times than what you could ever imagine. If they do lock their doors, the windows can still be broken, and then the car door's opened. So, nice try, but not that good of a try. The best option for leaving a gun in the car is, number one, have a lockbox that you can put the gun in, and that lockbox have a metal cable on it that can tether to the car seat frame. That way they can't take off with the box. That's the best way. Second best way is to put it in your glove box and lock the glove box. Third best way is to put it in your trunk, preferably in a lockbox, or you can put it in your trunk in a lock case or with a cable lock or trigger lock on it. Those are the best ways to store your gun in your car when you leave it in your car and go away for some period of time. At home, lots of guns are stolen out of homes when people are gone at work, gone to school, gone to go get groceries. When these guns are stolen, they're found on the nightstand, in the nightstand, sitting on the dresser, in the dresser, sitting on top of the shelf, on the closet, on a coffee table, inside a coffee table, tucked under a pillow, tucked under a mattress. So sometimes they're sitting out, sometimes they're concealed. People put them in places that they think people maybe won't look, but they're easily obtainable. You can easily get a hold of them. If you're going to be leaving your gun at home while you're at work or going to school or whatever, put it in a safe. Or put a cable lock on it or a trigger lock on it. yes, they can still take it with them with a cable lock or trigger lock. But as far as trying to get it to work, it's going to take some extra time to do that. And that's what we're doing when we are trying to make the guns inaccessible via a safe or locked compartment, or make them inoperable. We're just trying to buy time. We're trying to discourage them. Safes, I don't care what safe you've got. You can have the best safe in the world that's made for a casino. It can still be broken into. It just takes time. That's all the safes are doing. They're buying time for you. So like your safe in your home. Yeah, someone can kick your door in. Your alarm's going to go off. Can they go defeat that safe in the amount of time it takes the police to respond? I don't know. Probably not. So the easiest stuff is going to be taken. TV. Do you keep your TV tethered to the wall? I mean, probably not. Easy stuff gets taken. Your car. If you have a lockbox with a gun in it and it's tethered to your car seat, are they going to spend a bunch of extra time trying to take this box with them and get it undone from the seat? Or are they going to take your GPS from the windshield and take your change in the console and go on? They're going to take the stuff that's easy and go. Because the longer they stay there, the longer they run the risk of getting themselves caught. And despite how lenient the criminal justice system is, they still don't want to be caught. It's still a bit of an inconvenience to them, so they don't want to get caught. If it wasn't, they would just be like, hey, what's up, guys? All right, put the cuffs on me. I guess I'm going to jail today. No, like, they don't do that shit. They run. So it's buying time. But the key is, if it's not on you or within arm's reach of you, your gun needs to be inaccessible or inoperable to unauthorized users. Otherwise, you're just making it too easy for these criminals to get these guns. If you carelessly leave your gun laying in the middle console of your car and you leave your car unattended for hours, you're wrong. Yes, it's wrong for that person to break into your car and steal it. But it's also wrong for you to negligently store that thing in a manner that makes it easy for someone to steal. You're essentially arming criminals when you do this. You are essentially cutting your own throat when you're doing this, because all these guns that get stolen and used in street crimes, the anti-gun crowd is using that. That's more ammo for them, pun intended. The more crimes there are with guns, the more statistics they can create and go to the legislators with. Their buzzword is gun violence. How are we going to prevent gun violence? Well, we know how they want to prevent gun violence. They want to ban the guns. So when you carelessly leave your gun laying around and some 15-year-old punk steals it and then uses it in a street crime or sells it to someone else and they use it in a street crime, guess what? That's another nail in the coffin of our Second Amendment rights. It's eventually going to get to the point where the anti-gun crowd is going to get more traction and they're going to start making some headway. And I really foresee this one with the AR pistols and the AK pistols. Because the more those become popular and the more those get stolen and used in crimes, the more cops are going to get injured with them. And I mean, I could foresee that AR pistol, AK pistol loophole being closed and it becoming an SBR type of thing. And I've said this before, and someone said, it's not a loophole, it's the law. It's legal. Okay. All right, you're taking something that was originally a rifle, and you've built it in a chopped down version, and now saying it's a pistol. Yeah, I get the legal definition of it. I really do. but it's realistically a fucking rifle because it fires a rifle cartridge. It's just a short-barreled rifle that's got a legal loophole designating it as a pistol. Now, I'm against the National Firearms Act and the gun control laws. I am. Like, I think that it should be perfectly legal for you to own a belt-fed machine gun. I think it should be perfectly legal to own a Mark 19, a grenade machine gun. 100%. No license. Be able to go buy it from fucking Ace Hardware if you want. But I'm going to call it like I see it. The AK pistols and the AR pistols, they're fucking short-barreled rifles. They're just loopholed and designated as a pistol. And the more that these are becoming popular and getting used in crimes, again, that's more ammo for the anti-gun crowd. And eventually they're going to start that fucking outnumber us. I mean, just think about all the large cities and look at how the little fucking miscreants are migrating out of California going into Texas. Like, eventually Texas is going to be similar to California. It's going to become so liberalized around the capital, all the liberals going to the big cities, that they're going to start seeing different gun laws, just like California. They're going to get stupid gun laws. It's just, unfortunately, it's inevitable, in my opinion, that in the next 50 years, we won't have a Second Amendment like we do now. And a lot of that progression going towards that way is going to be because of careless gun owners leaving their fucking guns laying around and letting them get easily stolen. Alright, so that was a rant. Let's move on. Luckily, they didn't put this thing into play. Now, granted, I don't know what kind of shells they actually had. Well, I thought they had the little shot shell thing on there.
Along with an ammunition carrier.
There we go. So I don't know what kind of shells they had. I don't even know if I can zoom in and see the bottom. And it's not going to say anything on the bottom. The side is where the info is going to be at, but there's no way of telling. It's probably all birdshot. But, I mean, birdshot can still be deadly for humans, especially when you're close up. But if they had more than buckshot in there, if they had, more than birdshot in there, if they had actual buckshot or slugs in there, those officers would have been in trouble.
A 12-gauge shotgun was...
They would have been in real trouble. So looking at the shotgun, it looks like they've put a rear sight on top of it, but it's missing a front sight, and this right down here, whatever that is, that could be the front sight. I don't know. I don't even know what this is. I mean, obviously they said it's a 12 gauge, but I mean, I don't know fully what it is. But it doesn't look like it has a front sight on there. How effective it would have been, I can't say. I don't know. But, I mean, if it had buckshot or slug in that bandolier, that could have been bad for those officers. They could have put them in a very disadvantage, even if they didn't have that front sight on there and it wasn't an easy way to aim it. So, talks about the officers involved. Oops, go back. All right. So they're in their low 20s. They're in their mid to late 20s, actually. So they're close in age to the bad guys. Now, I'm being a bit presumptuous with this, but I'm going off the assumption that the bad guys are no stranger to the criminal justice system and have been involved in the criminal lifestyle for a while. And I feel like that's a pretty good guess. These officers have, between them, they got 1.5 years, 3.5 years, 2.5 years of experience. That is, and I don't know what they did before this. Like, I don't know if they worked in a warehouse, they worked in a factory, they did IT work, they did security as a teacher. Like, I don't know. I don't know what they did before they did law enforcement. So I can't really say what their experience in violence is like. But as far as being in law enforcement, the one that has the most experience has 3.5 years of law enforcement experience. Out of that law enforcement experience, there's only so much of it that is related to violence, getting physical with people. For the 3.5 years he was a cop, was he getting physical with people every single day? No. How many times did he have to really use extreme amount of force on someone? I don't know. How many times did he have to shoot someone? I don't know that either. I would suspect that as far as domestic law enforcement goes, probably never. This is probably their first shooting. Those other ones, the suspects, how many violent encounters have they been involved in? I don't know that either. How many shootings and stuff have they been involved in? I don't know that either. But being that they're related to a homicide, then they've at least got one killing under their belt, whereas these officers likely, as far as the domestic law enforcement goes, don't have any kills under their belt. Now, if they were military and it's all deployment, that's a different story, but I have no idea there. How many shootings have these officers been in? Just shooting at people and being shot at? I don't know that either. As a law enforcement officer, I doubt it was any. If they were in the military, they might have had some experience doing that, but again, like I said, I have no idea if they were. The thugs, how many shootouts have they been in? Again, I don't know that. But that lifestyle they live, carrying guns, being involved in a homicide, that tells me they've probably been in shootouts before. Now, I've talked about this briefly before in the past, and I can't remember when I talked about it in one of these videos. But I've talked about it before in one of my writings. There are street criminals out there who have more gunfight experience than the police. There are street thugs out there who not only have more gunfighting experience than the police, but they're also untrained and they still get kills. Like, these dumb fucks go around in flip-flops, pants hanging down below their ass, shooting one-handed, not even using the damn sights, and they still get kills. Sometimes shit happens. Murphy's Law, if you will. Now, is that saying, training don't matter, all of the untrained fuckers can get kills, what's it matter if you train? No, I'm not saying that. Training does matter. You can be more effective with training. But just know that when it comes to these street thugs, they've probably been in a gunfight before. They've probably shot at people or have been shot at and just never got caught for it. Or if they did get caught for it, then, they did a little bit of time and now they're back out. They're already starting with an advantage. And that advantage is they've had a bit of stress inoculation to it. That's one of the reasons why I believe reality-based training, force-on-force training, is some of the most important training that could be had. In fact, I think more money should probably be spent on that type of training than other types of training. I'm not saying it should replace it all, but there should be a lot of money invested in reality-based training because it does help to stress inoculate and get you in the zone better. So just know, like I said, that doesn't matter your years of experience being on the force, chances are you probably have not been in a gunfight. But the person you go up against in a gunfight, there's a good chance they've probably been in one. So they've already got a little bit of advantage over you in the aspect of stress inoculation. They've already experienced it before. What you got going that they don't is you're trained. But again, keep in mind, some of these fuckers do this shit wearing flip-flops, pants hanging down below their ass, and doing it one-handed, not even using the damn sights. Ooh. I don't think that there was anything else I wanted to discuss in this video. Nope. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.